Hey there guys, welcome back to ARTFX Studios and you're watching Tutorial Tuesday Season 2 about Glitch Hop. And this is the final video of the Tutorial Tuesday Season 2. And in this video I'm gonna do the mastering for this track, and you can hear the track in the background right now. I think you guys already heard it quite a lot, and we're gonna do the mastering. So I've exported the track with about 7 to 6 dB of headroom. And I'm gonna bring that level up to 0 dB. Now, normally I would add all my effects on the master track right here, but because I don't want the track itself to overpower my voice, because then you won't hear me anymore, I'm gonna do all the mastering on this particular audio track right here, and it's basically gonna do the exact same thing. I mean, it's not gonna change whatsoever. So let's get to it. So I've set this track to minus 10 dB, and that way I can have my voice still be heard without being too distorted or being overpowered by the track itself. So let's get to it. The mastering of this track. I first want to add a cytomic glue, because I want to have a little bit of slight compression on this. So let's see. Let's start with the transparent final master preset. I'm bringing that attack time up to let all the transients come through, which I think is pretty good. I want to have that. I don't want to have the transients to be immediately cut off by the compression. I also brought the release time a little bit down because I don't want to have the compression acting too much. I don't want it to take too long after each transient to go back to its default value. That being said, that is now done. It's high passed at 90 Hertz, maybe 120. The difference is really small, and that's basically what I want. I don't want to have too much compression on this. Let's see. I like the sound of it, actually. It sounds pretty good already. It's pretty good mixed, so I don't have to do too much during this mastering stage. The levels of the track are already pretty even out, as you can see. It all basically looks pretty damn right. And for now, I'm going to add iZotope's Ozone, my go-to tool for mastering. I'm gonna add it after the glue compressor. And we've got a new version. I'm not gonna update right now. I'll do that after I've recorded this video. The first thing I'm going to do is open up this equalizer, and I can check out the graph. So we have Ozone, and the audio runs through all the individual modules. It starts with EQ1, which is this one. Then it goes into the reverb, which is down below there. Then we go into the dynamics module, which is this one, which then runs into the exciter, which is that one. And then that goes into the stereo imaging, so that's that one. Then we go into the channel ops, which I don't really know what that is, but I'm not gonna bother too much with it. Then we go into the loudness maximizer, which is that one, the maximizer itself. Then we go into the spectrum analyzer. Then we go into the phase meter, and then we go into the final EQ. Now, the thing I don't really like about the way Ozone's set up is the final EQ is after the loudness maximizer. So when we would use the loudness maximizer to bring our volume to 0 dB, and then we are going to use EQ number 2, it will start a clip if we boost too much. I don't want that, so I'm gonna put EQ2 in front of the loudness maximizer, like that. So let's close that down. Let's go to EQ number 1. If I listen to this track, it sounds pretty solid. I'm gonna add a little bit of a little bit of low frequencies around 100 Hertz. Make it a little bit more narrow. So that sounds pretty good. I'm also gonna do a little bit of lows around 40 Hertz. Also make that a little bit more narrow. So we're getting a little bit more low end with this. I can bring the volume down a little bit, let's say to about 1 dB for both. We now get a little bit more sub, and I really like that. I can check how this is set up. It's currently set up in stereo mode. I could, for instance, set this to mid-side. And then on the side one, I'm going to bring the sub level down a little bit. So let's do that on the side. What that does, it's basically narrowing down the bass. And the bass itself is already pretty centered. I made sure that I did that during the production stage. But it's always interesting to take out the sub a little bit around the sides of the stereo spectrum and boosting them in the mid. And by doing that, you're narrowing down the bass without affecting all the other stuff. So I'm also gonna boost the high frequencies with about 1 dB on the sides. Maybe bring that a little bit more further inwards to about 7.5K. That widens up the high frequencies a little bit. I can take number 6 down a little bit. I think that sounds good. That is then running into the reverb. However, I'm not going to use the reverb. I don't think I need to have any reverb on this sound. It's already pretty well sorted out in terms of reverb. So that runs into the dynamics module. Let's open up the dynamics module and let's see what we can do with this. Let's bring the threshold for the high frequencies down a little bit. Let's set this to around there. And I'm gonna set this to a ratio of 4/1. Like that. So I'm using a compression ratio of 4/1, which means that for every 1 dB we go over the threshold, we get 4 dB of gain reduction. It's really simple. We're getting quite some gain reduction with this now. And what I can now do is bring the gain up of this one. So let's see this without. And this with. The high frequencies became a little bit more defined, a little bit more detailed, and that's pretty good. I can change the attack time to, let's say, 14 milliseconds, something like that. Maybe bring the release down a little bit. Sounds pretty good. Let's set this one to about here. Only want to really small amount of compression on this one, with a ratio of, again, 4/1. Let's just type in 4/1. Same attack time, same release time. And I'm gonna bring that threshold up a lot. Now the low band. I can add a small bit of compression to the low band. Again, same settings, because you don't want to have too many different settings in this multi-band compressor. Maybe bring this up a little. And let's bring that gain up to 4 dB. So we went from this to this. We're now getting a little bit more sub, which is definitely good. Let's do the final band, 14 milliseconds, release of 75 milliseconds, and let's bring that down a little bit. Let's bring the gain up. So it's definitely sounding a little bit better now. I can always fine-tune this later on. So the dynamics module is then fed into the harmonic exciter. So let's enable that one. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the mode. Now currently it's set to tube mode, which is pretty interesting. It's using a tube exciter kind of thing, which might sound interesting, but I'm going to use a tape saturation setting. And the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start working on the high band. Now, what I would advise you to do when working with the exciter is to work your way down from the highest band all the way down to the lowest band. I find that when I start with the lowest band, it's way too easy to add too much sub. And I don't want to add too much sub to this, you know, because it's already pretty sub heavy. I want to saturate the high frequencies a little bit. So let's play this. Let's add a little bit more highs. Okay, and let's add a little bit more high mids. A little bit more low mids. And maybe a little bit more sub. And I can always check out the tube, see how that sounds. I actually like the tube one, and I normally use tape, but let's just use tube. I think it sounds pretty good. So that is then run into the stereo imaging. So let's open it up and let's see what's going on right here. So it's already really stereo, and that's pretty good. Let's solo the low band and let's see how much stereo content is in there. Okay, so sometimes there's quite some low end that's going into the stereo sides. It's not much, but it's still a little bit. So let's bring that down a little bit. Let's just make it mono. I can always do it to about 50%, which is basically just gonna narrow down the bass a little bit. And I can check the mid. Sounds pretty good. The high mids has a lot of the reverb and definitely sounds good, and therefore is also much more stereo. Looks good. And the high band, let's widen that a little bit. Okay, that sounds good. That is then fed into the next equalizer, but I'm gonna use that after I've done the maximizer. So I'm not gonna enable that right now. I'm gonna go into the maximizer and let's enable it. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set this to the IRC3 mode, which is the Intelligent 3. This one is a lot more CPU heavy, but it's therefore also the one that sounds the best, I guess. Let's bring the threshold down a little bit. Okay, a little bit higher. I don't want to crush this too much. I don't want to see any value higher than 3 on this little meter right here. Looks good right now. Then I can change the character. I like the crisp one, sounds pretty cool. Let's see how it goes with a faster setting. Or with a slower setting. Let's do a medium setting. Sounds about good. I could enable the intersample detection. You know, the intersample detection has something to do with the analog levels, and sometimes when you master something digitally and then play it back on an analog system, you might get some clipping, and this actually measures the true peak levels, and therefore it will limit those so that you don't get any clipping on the analog kind of domain. That being said, I think it sounds pretty good now. One thing, however, that I find out when I hear this is that I think there's a little bit too much sub in here now. So let's go to the mid band of the first EQ and let's bring that sub down. Let's bring that one down as well. And let's take that tube on the sub down a little bit. Let's go into the dynamics. Bring that up a little. getting pretty happy with the way this sounds right now. There's one thing I would like to add to this, and that is Sugarbyte's Vogue. I'm gonna add that one in front of the isotope. And let's see, I'm gonna turn every single thing off, and let's enable the preamp. The gain is gonna be set to 0 dB. Minus 0.1, also good. No high passing and no overdrive. Okay, that Vogue made everything sound a little bit warmer, and I definitely think that sounds good. Now it's time to do the last EQ, which is in front of the maximizer. And I'm gonna... let's do that. And that final EQ is always a lot about just making really small finishing touches to make it sound a little bit better. I mean, we're talking about cuts and boosts of minus 0.7 dB, plus 1.3, plus 0.3 dB. Really small amounts. Except for that one. But that's just taking out a little bit of mud. Bring it up a little. So there you have it. This is how I master my tracks. It's pretty easy, it's pretty straightforward, but there's simply not just a preset you can use for this, because every track is different. And because every track is different, you need to have a different approach for every single track. We've now turned this into this. So that sounds a lot louder and a lot better. So I'm now going to export this track and then I'll upload it to SoundCloud, so all you guys can go to SoundCloud and listen to the track. The link to that track is going to be in the description below this video for all of you to check out. I hope you like this season. I hope you like the Tutorial Tuesday seasons. This one was about Glitch Up. I really liked making this one. I think I even liked it a lot more than the first season. Right now I'm gonna do a little break from the Tutorial Tuesdays. I'm gonna do a couple of other different videos right now. I want to talk a little bit more about music theory first, before I go into season number 3. Now season number 3, I don't have any clue what I'm gonna do yet, and I've got a lot of requests already. I mean, there are requests for dubstep, there are requests for drum and bass, future garage, new disco, all those kinds of stuff. I don't know. I don't really know what I'm gonna do. There's one thing I do know. I want to put myself in a position where I'm gonna make music that I've never made before. Normally I don't really do that too often. Every now and then I do that, but then I end up sticking with that genre. And now I just want to put myself out of my comfort zone and make something completely different. And out of my own experience, I found out that every time I do that, I end up making something I actually like a lot. So I don't know what I'm gonna do yet, but I guess it's gonna be really interesting. So yeah, that's it for this particular Tutorial Tuesday video. I hope you like the season. If you like it, then please subscribe to this channel for more tutorial videos about all kinds of subjects. Currently, I'm gonna release a sample pack really soon on my website, which is gonna be a sample pack containing almost 200 really big snare samples. I'm gonna do a preview of those samples on this channel pretty soon. There's already a sound preview available on my SoundCloud. I'm gonna put the link to that preview below in this video. I guess you guys want to know how it sounds. It's a collection of 200 individually processed and recorded snare drums. They all sound really good and really punchy and snappy. They're definitely aimed at either loud electronic music or maybe the more old school hip-hop producer who wants really powerful beats. Yeah, so that's it for today's video. I hope you liked it, and I'll see you back later this week. Peace!